Ryan moved carefully through the silent wreckage of the alien ship. The metal halls were dark and cold, and every step he took echoed like a distant drumbeat. The ship had crashed on a lonely moon only a few hours earlier, and he had received the emergency beacon while traveling nearby. No other human ship was close enough to answer, so he came alone. He expected to find damage, fire, broken machines, maybe some records left behind. He never expected to find a living queen from a species that humans only knew through scattered information. He walked with a small lantern in his hand. The soft white light moved across broken panels and shattered walls. Ryan kept breathing slowly, trying not to feel nervous. He had read enough about alien technology to know that even a crashed ship could still be dangerous. But the thought that someone inside might need help kept him moving deeper into the wreck. He whispered to himself as he went, trying to stay focused and calm. He checked the metal floor for cracks or holes. He listened for any sound that did not belong. Everything felt silent and empty, but silence on a crashed ship did not always mean safety. Sometimes silence meant something was waiting. He reached a large open section of the ship that looked like a throne room or command chamber. Tall pillars rose high above him, bent and twisted from the impact. Pieces of fallen ceiling lay everywhere. The air smelled of burnt wiring and cold dust. Ryan took slow steps into the room, the lantern shaking slightly in his hand. Then he heard it, a sound far too soft to come from metal or machinery. It was a weak, trembling breath. Ryan stopped instantly. He lowered the lantern and scanned the room. The breath came again, this time a little louder. Someone was alive. He moved toward the sound, stepping over broken metal and fallen beams until he reached a large piece of collapsed ceiling. Under the heavy chunk of silver metal, he saw movement. Ryan knelt down, lifting the lantern closer. He froze. Beneath the metal was a tall alien woman with pale, glowing skin and long silver hair that flowed across the floor like liquid light. Her eyes were half open, shining faintly even in the darkness. She looked weak and hurt, but she was clearly alive. He had seen images of her species before in old records. They called themselves the Lemurian Empire. They were known for their strength, their beauty, and their powerful queens. They ruled many planets far from human space. No human had ever met one face to face, and now, here he was, kneeling right beside their queen. Ryan set down the lantern gently. "It's okay," he whispered, even though he knew she probably could not understand him. "I'm here to help." The queen moved slightly. Her breath came out slowly as if she could barely hold on to life. Ryan placed his hands under the fallen metal and searched for a place to lift. The metal was heavy, but he pushed with all his strength. The sound of scraping metal echoed as he managed to raise the edge enough for her to pull her leg free. The queen winced as she moved. She looked at him with confusion, as if she did not understand why a human was helping her. He crouched beside her and checked for injuries. Her left leg was bruised, and her arm had small cuts where the metal had pressed against her skin. Her breathing was weak, and she was clearly exhausted. Ryan opened his small medical kit and pulled out a scanner. He ran it gently along her arm, hoping it could understand at least something about her biology. The queen watched him with tired eyes. She opened her mouth slightly as if trying to speak, but no words came out. Ryan kept working, cleaning the cuts with a soft cloth and applying a bandage. He spoke softly, not caring whether she understood. His voice was calm, steady, and gentle. After a long moment, the queen tried again. This time, a faint sound came from her lips. Ryan listened closely. The sound was not random. It was a word in her language. Ryan felt a small rush of nervousness. He had studied the Lemurian language for many years out of curiosity. Most humans found it difficult to learn because it used soft tones and glowing symbols. But he had always enjoyed languages, and he wanted to understand more than what human records provided. He leaned closer and spoke softly in her language. "You are hurt. I want to help you." The Queen's eyes widened instantly. Her whole body stiffened. Her hands trembled. She stared at him as if he had just performed something impossible. Her voice shook as she whispered in her language, "Who are you?" Her voice trembled not from pain, but from pure shock. No human had ever spoken to her kind like that. She did not understand how he knew her words so well. Ryan could see her confusion, so he sat down a little farther from her to show he meant no harm. "My name is Ryan," he said gently, still in her language. "I heard your ship's distress signal. I came to see if anyone survived." The Queen stared at him for a long moment. She gently touched her chest as she breathed slowly. She tried to lift herself, but her body felt too weak. Ryan moved forward again, offering his hand. She hesitated before taking it, her fingers trembling lightly as she held on to him. He helped her sit up against a broken pillar. She closed her eyes for a moment, breathing more steadily now. Ryan could tell she was trying to understand who he was and why he helped her. He gave her a small bottle of water. She looked at it strangely but accepted it when he demonstrated how to drink. She took a few small sips, then breathed out softly. Her strength returned just a little. "You speak as if you were trained by my people," she whispered. "Humans do not know our language. Humans cannot speak it." "I learned from old records," he said. "It took many years. I did not think I would ever use it." The Queen looked around the ruined chamber. "My guards, my people, they are gone." Her voice was filled with sadness. "I do not feel their presence. I am alone." Ryan nodded slowly. He did not know what to say. He understood loss, but her pain was deeper than anything he could speak lightly about. Then the ship made a faint rumbling sound. The metal walls vibrated for a moment. Ryan instantly looked around, alert. The Queen's eyes narrowed with fear. "That is not the ship," she whispered in her language. "That is something else. Something that was on this ship before we crashed." Ryan gripped his lantern tightly. "Something dangerous?" "Yes," she whispered. "A silent hunter. It escaped when we fell. It will come again." Her voice was filled with fear, and Ryan realized that if something could frighten a queen from a powerful alien empire, then it was truly dangerous. He helped her stand slowly. She leaned against him for support, still weak but determined to move. Ryan wrapped her arm over his shoulder, and they walked together toward the safer part of the chamber. As they moved deeper into the ship, Ryan listened carefully. He could hear faint scratches coming from the darker sections. The Queen stiffened at every soft sound. The more they walked, the more she watched him. His calm steps, his careful movements, his determination to protect her even though she was stronger and taller than him. To her, humans had always been a species of little importance. Not weak, but simple. She had never expected one to be brave enough to walk into a crashed alien ship alone. After a while, she spoke softly again. "Ryan, what is it that humans seek?" Ryan thought for a moment before answering. "We seek knowledge, survival, and peace, if others allow it." The Queen listened carefully. "Your voice is steady. Your steps are sure. You help me even though I am not human. You speak my language without fear." She paused, then added in a soft whisper, "You are not what I expected from your kind." Ryan smiled a little. "Maybe humans are not what anyone expects." The Queen looked at him, her eyes filled with something new, something like respect mixed with curiosity. They reached a smaller room with working lights. Ryan helped her sit on a smooth metal bench. She watched him remove tools from his pack and fix a broken panel nearby. When the lights turned on, She stared at him again, surprised not by what he did, but by how he did it. Humans were known for adapting fast, for turning simple tools into smart solutions. She had heard this before, but seeing it herself was different. Ryan stepped back and checked the room. It was safer than the rest of the ship, at least for now. He sat beside her, keeping a small distance so she would not feel afraid. He looked at her injured leg again. It was healing slowly, but she still needed time and rest. The Queen watched him quietly. She did not frown or stare with cold, royal pride. Instead, her eyes softened a little, almost grateful. "You had no reason to help me," she whispered. "Yet you did." "You were alone," Ryan answered simply. "I could not walk away." The Queen lowered her gaze. "Among my people, strength is everything. We lead through power. But you do not show strength with force. You show it with your choices." Ryan shrugged softly. "Maybe that is what makes humans different." The ship suddenly shook again, this time harder. The Queen grabbed his arm, her fingers tense. Ryan stood up and listened. The scratching sound returned, this time closer. "It is coming," the Queen whispered. Ryan looked at her with calm determination. "Then we will face it together." She stared at him, surprised by his confidence. No fear, no hesitation. Humans were smaller, weaker, and had shorter lives compared to her kind. Yet this human stood between her and danger, as if protecting a queen was the most natural thing in the world. She whispered again, but this time it was not with fear. Her voice carried a soft warmth. "Ryan, who are you?" Ryan looked at her with a small smile. "Just a human trying to do the right thing." The Queen felt something deep inside her shift. For the first time since the crash, she did not feel alone. Outside the room, the creature's footsteps grew louder. The Queen moved closer to Ryan, her voice low. "Whatever happens, do not leave me." "I won't," he said. The creature approached. The Queen leaned into the human who spoke like her people and stood like a warrior, and in that moment she believed he might be the only one in the entire galaxy who could save her. The sound of footsteps echoed through the broken hallways, slow but heavy, as if something large was dragging its body along the floor. Ryan held his breath and listened closely. The Queen stayed beside him, her hand gripping his arm with surprising strength for someone who was still weak. The lights in the small room flickered, and the faint hum of damaged power lines made the air feel tense. Ryan took one slow step forward and peered into the dark hallway. The Queen followed with cautious steps, her body leaning slightly toward him for support. Her eyes glowed softly in the dim light, giving her a mysterious and almost fragile appearance. Ryan looked around, trying to find a tool or anything he could use to protect them. He found a long metal rod broken from a support beam. It was not a weapon, but it was better than nothing. He held it tightly, taking a quiet breath to steady his mind. The Queen watched him, her voice soft. "You do not fear it," she whispered. "Fear won't help us right now," Ryan replied. "We just need to stay smart." The Queen nodded. She could sense his focus, and it calmed her in a way she did not understand. She had been surrounded by strong warriors all her life, but none had ever acted with his steady calmness. It was something new, something she was beginning to admire. The scratching sound grew louder. Ryan motioned for her to step behind him. She hesitated, then obeyed, trusting his judgment. He scanned the hallway, looking for movement. Then he saw it. A dark shape moved quickly between the shadows. It was small but fast, almost gliding across the floor. Ryan knew it was studying them, waiting for the right moment to strike. The Queen whispered, "It hunts with silence. It can sense fear. Stay calm." "I'll try," Ryan whispered back. His heart was beating fast. but his breathing stayed controlled. He tightened his grip on the metal rod. The creature made a sudden lunge, but it did not attack. Instead, it stopped a few steps away, crouched low as if ready to spring. Ryan saw its strange eyes, dark, narrow, and filled with an unsettling intelligence. It was clear this creature did not rely on strength. It relied on speed and patience. Ryan slowly stepped backward, motioning for the queen to move with him. The creature followed every movement, its claws scratching lightly on the floor. Ryan studied its behavior and realized something important. It did not want to attack directly. It wanted to push them deeper into the ship, into darker areas where it had the advantage. He whispered to the queen, "We need to go the other way. It wants us to move where it can trap us." The queen nodded. "Then lead. I will follow." Ryan moved carefully, stepping sideways while keeping his eyes on the creature. The queen walked behind him, her fingers brushing lightly against his back to avoid losing him in the dim light. Every sound felt sharper, every shadow felt deeper. They reached a corner where the hallway split. Ryan pointed left and whispered, "There's a maintenance room there. We can find tools." The queen nodded again. Ryan made a small gesture to distract the creature, then stepped quickly toward the left hallway. The creature tried to follow, but Ryan swung the metal rod and hit the ground in front of it. The sudden noise made the creature freeze for a moment, giving Ryan and the queen time to move faster. They hurried into the maintenance room and shut the door. Ryan locked it with a broken latch and leaned against it, breathing heavily. The queen sat on a metal crate, her chest rising and falling as she regained her strength. Ryan looked around the room. It was filled with damaged tools, cables, and parts of alien machinery. Some equipment still worked. He picked up a small device with glowing blue lines. "This can create a small shock," the queen said weakly. "It is used to restart broken panels. You can use it as protection." Ryan smiled. "Good. That might help us." The queen watched him adjust the device. Her expression softened. "You think faster than many I have known," she whispered. "You find solutions where others see only problems." Ryan shrugged. "Humans are used to working with little. We make things work." The queen looked at him silently for a long moment. Her voice became soft. "You have saved me more than once already. For that, I am grateful." Ryan shook his head. "We're not safe yet. Let's find a way out of here." The creature scratched at the door suddenly. The sound made the queen jump slightly, and Ryan moved closer to her. The scratching stopped, then the creature moved away. Ryan listened carefully, trying to understand its pattern. "It's testing the door," he whispered. The queen nodded slowly. "It wants to find a weakness." Ryan looked at the broken cables on the floor. An idea formed in his mind. He began connecting wires, attaching them to the door's metal surface. The queen watched curiously as he built a trap from scraps and loose energy cells. After a few minutes, he finished. The door now had a thin layer of electricity around it, low enough not to cause serious harm, but strong enough to shock anything that tried to force it open. The queen raised her eyebrows. "You made this from nothing." Ryan smiled. "Humans might not be the strongest, but we can think quickly when we need to." She gave him a soft look, almost admiring. "You remind me that strength is more than power. Sometimes it is cleverness, sometimes it is heart." Ryan didn't answer, but he felt the warmth in her words. The creature returned and pushed against the door. A loud buzzing sound filled the room as the electricity shocked it. The creature screeched and pulled back. The queen looked at Ryan with surprise and relief. The creature tried again, but the shock stopped it once more. After a few more attempts, it grew cautious and moved away. Ryan knew they had only bought themselves time. The creature would find another path eventually. They needed to leave the ship soon. He turned to the queen. "We need to reach the escape pods. Do you know where they are? The Queen nodded slowly. Yes, they are on the lower level. Ryan helped her stand again. She leaned against him, her steps slow but determined. Together they left the maintenance room and moved through the dark halls. The air felt colder now. The ship groaned under its own broken weight. The Queen spoke softly as they walked. You carry a heavy burden with such calm. You face danger without fear. Why? Ryan thought for a moment. I don't like leaving people behind, he answered. If I can help someone, I try. The Queen lowered her gaze. You are unlike any human I imagined. Ryan smiled lightly. And you are unlike any alien queen I imagined. A soft laugh escaped her lips, gentle and unexpected. For a moment, she forgot the danger around them. But the sound of the creature returned, louder now, coming from a different hallway. It had found another route. Ryan and the Queen moved faster, their steps sinking as if they were one team. The Queen's breathing grew stronger. Every moment beside Ryan restored a little more of her energy. They reached a staircase leading down. Ryan held the Queen's hand to help her descend. Halfway down, the creature appeared at the top, screeching softly. Ryan pushed the Queen gently. Go. I'll slow it down. But she grabbed his arm firmly. No. We stay together. Ryan nodded. He could not argue with her determination. They rushed down the stairs. The creature followed quickly, its claws tapping on the metal steps. Ryan reached the lower hallway and looked around. The escape pods were just ahead, but the door to the pod room was half jammed. Ryan ran to it and tried to force it open. The Queen added her strength. Together they managed to slide the door open enough to slip through. The creature lunged from the stairs, but Ryan shut the door just in time. The creature slammed into it, the impact shaking the metal frame. Inside the room were several escape pods, but only one seemed functional. Ryan helped the Queen toward it. She touched the control panel and activated the startup sequence. Get in, she whispered. You first, Ryan replied. She hesitated, then stepped inside. Ryan followed her. The pod was small, and they had to sit close together. The Queen looked at him with calm eyes. You saved my life again, she whispered. We saved each other, Ryan answered. The creature slammed against the main door again. The pod's hatch closed just as the door broke open. The creature tried to squeeze into the room, but it was too late. The pod detached from the ship and launched into the sky. The Queen closed her eyes as the pod shook. Ryan put a gentle hand on her shoulder to keep her steady. After a long moment, the shaking stopped. The pod glided smoothly through space. The Queen opened her eyes and looked at the stars outside. Then she turned to Ryan. Her voice was soft and full of emotion. Ryan, before today, I believed humans were simple. I believed they could not understand us. But you spoke my language. You protected me. You stood beside me even when fear was near. Ryan smiled shyly. I only did what I thought was right. No, she whispered. You did more. She reached out and gently rested her hand on his. Her fingers were warm. Her voice trembled slightly, not with fear, but with something softer. When I asked earlier, I asked with fear, who are you? She looked into his eyes. Now I ask with respect. Who are you, Ryan, that you carry so much courage? Ryan held her gaze. Just a human trying to help someone who needed help. The Queen breathed slowly, her heart calm for the first time since the crash. She leaned her head against the wall of the pod, close to him. Then I am glad, she whispered, that I met this human. The stars passed by the window as the pod carried them toward safety. Ryan stayed beside her, watching over her, while the Queen closed her eyes and finally allowed herself to rest. Not because she was alone, but because she trusted the human beside her. Their journey was far from over. But from this moment on, the Queen knew one truth clearly. Humanity was far more than her empire had believed, and Ryan, the quiet human explorer, had shown her a strength she never expected to see. She whispered one last time before falling asleep, her voice soft like fading starlight. "Thank you, Ryan, for showing me what humans can be." And Ryan watched over her, knowing he had changed her world just as much as she had changed his.